I don't know what to write about. It's a phrase I hear all the time from business owners. So, what do you do when your mind is drawing a blank? I'm sharing how you can get the ideas flowing so that you can get back to sending emails, writing content, and marketing your business.
Being an online business owner is full of ups and downs. Some days you can't imagine going back to your 9 to 5, and other days you want to burn your whole business to the ground. We get it.
Welcome to Chaos to Conversions, a podcast of practical, no BS strategies to grow your online business. Each week, we're chatting about launching, copywriting, mindset, and more, so you can make sense of the chaos and do more of what works.
Join the conversation and let's grow together.
Welcome back to Chaos to Conversions. We are talking all about this thing I hear often from clients, from business owners, from people I have inside the Copy Huddle, people I meet inside of challenges, you name it. I hear this phrase all the time, which is, I don't know what to write about. Chances are very high that you've said that. I've even said it in my own business. So what do I do? What do I recommend that people do when they get into the spot of like, I just really don't know what to say. I don't know what to send. I don't know what to write about. Especially if you've been in business for a while, it can start to feel like you're running out of ideas, but I promise there's still plenty of pieces of content and ideas out there to write about. So let's dig in. I want to start first with, why does this happen? Like, why do we get into this feeling of like, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to write about? So some of the common ones that the reasons that I hear for like why they're feeling this way, and maybe you can relate to them. The first one is you feel like you're saying the same thing all the time. I recently talked about this in episode 79, where like how to overcome that feeling of being a broken record, saying the same thing, repeating myself all the time in my content. So this is a really big one because you feel like I've already said a million times, that people need to go and buy this product, or they should join this membership, or they should buy this service. Like, I feel like I'm just saying it all the time. I'm just running out of things to say. So I just don't even know what to say anymore. I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to write about. So definitely check out episode 79 if that's something that you relate to. That was a really good episode. Another reason that this happens is people are just not sure what their audience wants to hear. In episode 4, one of our very early episodes, we talked about market research, and I definitely recommend if you're in that boat, if you're like, yeah, I just don't even know what my audience wants to hear from me, that's a good episode to refer to. Market research is not as hard as it sounds. It definitely sounds like something that, I don't know, like a very advanced marketing guru would tell you, but it's really simple. It is as simple as chatting to people in the DMs, putting up polls in your Instagram, sending out surveys to your email list. You can gather a lot of information about what your audience wants and what they need without having to do a ton of work. And you can get a ton of content ideas from it. So highly recommend episode 4 for that. Another one is you're just like fresh out of new ideas, right? Maybe you feel like, okay, I have tried saying things in different ways, and I just don't even know like what new things to say anymore. I don't know what new things to talk about. I feel like I'm just getting boring. So we're kind of going to address all 3 of those today. It doesn't really matter kind of what boat you're in. This strategy will work, but I just kind of wanted to talk first about like why we may be feeling that way, and just to know that it's totally normal and very common. And it doesn't matter if you're a newbie to business or you're a seasoned business owner who's been in it for 10 years. I can promise probably at least once a year, we all come across that feeling of like, I just don't really know what to say. So here's a strategy that I recommend trying. And I'm just going to dig into this one strategy today. It's something that after this episode, I want you to go and try, whether it be on a Google Doc, on paper, whatever it is, on your phone. But it's really simple, and it can help you come up with a lot of ideas on the spot if you're just drawing blanks. So the strategy is to tackle the topic from a new angle. So often we get stuck in the same perspective, talking to the same buyer type, and coming at it from the same angle with the same messaging, right? So let's say, for example, that you do website design services. And so every time you talk about your website design services, you're often talking about like why websites are so important and why you need a website. And you feel like, I'm just saying this over and over again in my content. Again, it kind of goes back to that repetition piece, but like, I just don't have fresh new ideas for this. I don't really know where to come at this with. So when you come at it with a new angle, you might talk about like 5 things every website needs and how you always include these in your projects, or client website stats, or how to make your website attract your ideal buyer, or a personal story about how you're redoing your own website and the process behind it. So in all of those examples, I'm still talking about my website design services, but I'm approaching it from a new angle. I'm not feeling like I'm repeating myself. I'm giving a fresh new take on it. And hopefully these are things that my audience has shown interest in wanting to hear, or at least would be something that would maybe motivate them to work with me. Another example, let's say you design digital planners. And every time you talk about digital planners, you often talk about like what the planner includes or your special layout format, right? You're like showing that in action. Maybe you have a video, use images, right? But you're talking about the inclusion, what's in it, how to use it. But we can go at it from a new angle. We can talk about the story of someone's life who was made simpler by the planner, right? Maybe a mom or a business owner who uses the planner and how it has helped them in their day-to-day routines. We can talk about alternative planner uses. Maybe we can talk to teachers or graduate students who have struggled with planning. Maybe when we do our market research, we realize we have a lot of teachers in our audience. And so we want to talk more to them and why they might benefit. You can also talk about the process of creating your planner. So the behind the scenes as you're selecting the design and the cover art and the layout, maybe get people's opinions on what they would like to see in upcoming versions of the planner. So again, we're still talking about the planners. We're not repeating ourselves though, right? We are tackling from a different angle. We are hopefully using ideas that our audience wants to hear, and we're giving a fresh take to it. So I want to get into the actual, like, how can you do this on your own? So here's a little topic generation exercise for you. So this is the part where I recommend, pulling out a pen or pencil. If you have your phone, you can do this on there, or you can revisit this later whenever you have a moment, but definitely recommend. So here it is. You're going to sit down and you're going to write all of your offers or your products. And if you're someone who has a ton of different products, you're like, I can't really come up with a list of all of them. I want you to at least look at your bestsellers. Maybe start with like top 5 bestsellers or your top 5 services or offers, right? I'm going to start there. Okay, so I want you to write those down, and I'm imagining this on a piece of paper. Maybe you have a sheet of paper for each of these, right? And a paper for each bestseller, a paper for each offer, something like that. Okay, then on that paper with that offer or that product, I want you to write down the different buyer types. So there's a lot of different buyer types out there. If you Google buyer types, you'll see like lists that say the 5 common, the 4 common, the 3, whatever. I'm going to go with these 4 different buyer types. I know this is also what Melanie calls them, and so I'm using the same language in case you listen to an episode of hers later, that it's the same across the episodes. So the first one is your analytical buyer. So this is the person who wants to know the facts, right? Like what's in it, what's included, what do I get, how much it costs. Then we have the driver buyer. This is the person who wants proof and results. They want to know that it works, and they want to know that it's going to deliver the results that they need, that it's going to be the solution to their problem. You have the relational buyer. This is the one who wants to know you and the one who wants to trust you. So again, relationship, right? They do need to have some sort of relationship there, or at least the relationship does help them make buying decisions. And then we have the emotional buyer. This person definitely loves hearing stories. They want to, like, the relatability piece is really important to them. And they might make really emotional decisions if something makes them feel really good, or something really inspires them or gives them hope, right? Okay, so that, I imagine this going like on the left side of your paper if you're writing this out, right? Or in a column inside of a table if you're doing this on like a Google Doc. You have those 4 different types of buyers listed out. And what you're going to do is you're going to jot down how you can create content to appeal to each of those buyer types. So going back to the person who does digital planners, let's say that they're trying to come up with content that would appeal to an analytical buyer. Okay, well, this person probably is the one who wants to know what's included, the special layout that's included, maybe the thought process behind it, or if you have like a particular, like process that went into your planner, like my body blah process. I'm thinking of like Hustle Sanely, right? She has like her Hustle Sanely Focus 3. That's like the process of the planner, I guess. I don't know how else to say that, or the process she uses in a lot of her products. Anyways, that would be definitely a more analytical buyer who'd be really interested in that aspect. But then an emotional buyer, right? They might want a story of someone using that planner. Like, again, a teacher who's using it and how it's helped them with prepping their lesson, or a busy mom who's using it, who's balancing different school schedules and different kids' activities and how it's improved their day-to-day life. So you're going to write those ideas down, and I would write as many as you possibly can, set a timer, and just brain dump inside of this little table that you've created. Okay, then the next thing that you can do is also do this for the marketing funnel. So beginning, middle, and end. So you've done some ideas that relate to different buyer types. Now you can come up with some ideas for the marketing funnel. So if you listen to our past episodes, episode 47, 50, and 53, we actually broke down the 3 different parts of the marketing funnel, beginning, middle, and end. I will link those in the show notes if you want to go back and listen to those. But essentially, these are, how different people come into you and how hot and cold they are. So obviously, if someone's at the beginning of the funnel, they are new to you. They're still getting to know your offers and your business and develop a relationship with you. So they're going to need different types of content than someone who's at the middle or the end of your funnel. Those people either on the cusp of conversion or they've already converted before and you want to get them to convert again. And so they're going to need different types of information, most likely. So again, you can create a little chart or a little table on your paper. And so you have your offer at the top, and then down the side, you have beginning, middle, and end. And brainstorm some ideas that you feel like people would need to know, some piece of content that they might want to hear, listen to, read at those different points in the marketing funnel. So, for example, going back to the digital planner person, if I am thinking about people who are at the beginning of my offer, okay, well, how cold are they? Probably pretty cold, or at least they're relatively cold. They're pretty new to my planners. How familiar are they with my offers? Again, they're still pretty new and there's not much trust there. So what do I need to do? I'm probably gonna have to do a lot of trust building type content, do some case studies, again, show them the inside, pictures, videos, really get them familiar with it. Well, people in the middle, these people are already pretty familiar with my offer. They're warm. They may not be ready to buy, but maybe they've thought about it. They've already looked into some stuff. They've read my emails before. So what can I do now? Maybe that's where storytelling would really come into play. Or maybe I need to invite them in to get a taste of something. Maybe I give them a page from my planner for free. So again, we're just thinking about what are the different points that we might need to hit at the different levels of this funnel. Okay. So that is the exercise I would suggest doing if you are someone who is struggling to know what to write about. This exercise doesn't have to take you a super long time. I would maybe spend about 10 minutes for each part. 10 minutes coming up with ideas for the buyer types, 10 minutes coming up with ideas for the marketing funnel, and hopefully you come up with several ideas from there that you can turn into emails, long form content, whether it be a blog, podcast episode, so on and so forth. I hope that this helps you get out of any writing ruts that you might be in. I also want to let you know that if you are someone, again, who might be struggling to come up with ideas for your content and you want some support, the Copy Huddle is a great place to be. In the Copy Huddle, my membership, I help members strategize and plan their content. Instead of coming up with ideas alone, we can actually work together during the one-on-one strategy calls, office hours, and inside of Slack. And if you use the code podcast, you can get $50 off your first month or your first quarter. I'd love to see you in there. Send me a DM on Instagram if you have questions about it, and we can chat. Thanks so much for joining the conversation today. If you want to learn more about how we can work together on email marketing, launch copy, or content planning, head to therelevantcollective.com. I'll meet you back here next Tuesday for more practical strategies to take your business from chaos to conversions.